Start to understand why they need him. Begin assault through building, have to cover new territory as it's the shortest point to one of the exits that is an entrance that leads to another facility where we can link up with a fire team from our original assault force on the surface. Start running through rooms trying to be cautious but trying to get the fuck out as quickly as possible. Run into what looks like an ambush, the three who set it up are barricaded behind random furniture and bodies litter the kill zone. Start running through the bodies trying to keep weapon level with barricades. Get to the point where I'm running on top of bodies. Reach barricade, all dead, still have weapons, looks like they succumb to whatever everyone is sick with. Vomit, shit, black blood, something new with these guys, they look like their abdomens tore open from the pressure of the fluids inside of them, the organs are black, some of the fluid is a deep yellow. Keep running. Getting tired, getting complacent, overheating, running. Surgeon is lagging behind us, we cover more ground and he stops and takes off his mask and throws up. I look at the contractor and he just nods his head. His skin is yellowing, aggressive looking boils on his cheeks, has that same deep red tint to his eyes. Pulls M9, kills himself before we can even say anything. No time, start running forward again hoping to make it to that door. We have 3 more rooms to cover. Contractor calls me back and tells me to stop. I know where this is going, so I put the M4 on him and tell him I kill both of us before I let him waltz out without me and my guys. Tells me not to worry and says we need to deviate slightly to decontamination rooms. Too tired to care and he leads the way. Get to rooms and they spray the gore off the suits, sitting, waiting, for remnants of the original prisoners and guard force to kill me while I just stand there like an asshole while this thing sprays a bunch of shit on me. Nothing happens and we all rendezvous in what he called a clean room to wait on my other 3 guys to get done with their decon process. Start to put gear back on and not paying attention. Gunshots ring out in rapid succession. Contractor has killed the other 2 techs and has gun on me. Tells me he can get me out of here but I need to protect him when we get to the surface. Agree to it. He shuts off the decon and locks my guys inside to die. Has me put on one of the tech suits instead of my original gear. Takes me not to the door we fought to get to but to an elevator. Nothing seems real. Go on autopilot, and follow him, he knows the layout more than he let on in the beginning. Get to the elevator and he takes us back to the original mock-up village that hid all this shit. Rendezvous with my original security element hoping they don't recognize me through the face mask. Heli lands and takes us across border to Ali Al Salem Air Base in Kuwait. Him smuggled out of the country and back into the United States. Contractor kept his word and I've kept mine. If I gave you my real name it would say I died in a mortar attack in late 2007 in southern Iraq outside of Qasr. I'll leave you with this, a clue, J. 3. 7. 6. Just starting lurking on /k/. Really wanna go in the woods. Recently got my fit. SKS for my birthday, fuck yeah. Invite my only Hasguns friend along to go camping near Appalachian Trail. He says yes, brings a Winchester lever action in .30 to 30. Plan is to start up at northern part of Massachusetts, follow the trail south for 3 days. We brought plenty of food and fuel, not much water, as we plan to be near rivers most of the time. Buddy brought a harmonica. From now on, I'll call him John. We get dropped off near where we want to start hiking. Covering pretty decent ground for the first few hours. Slow down a bit after a quick lunch, still moving along pretty well. We stop for the night, set up our tent. I start the fire, boil water we collected. John cooks up some of our food, plays harmonica a bit. We're just sitting around the fire eating and talking. Bring up the fact that we haven't seen anyone all day. He shrugs it off, it's a bit shitty weather and cold, so it's not that strange. Put out the fire and we go to bed, sleeping with, unloaded, Rafus. We get up the next day, strike camp. Eat cold breakfast and start hiking again. Suddenly we hear loud footsteps coming up the trail behind us. Running really fast. We look behind us, figure it's a trail runner or a deer running from something. Ready rifles just in case. The second we turn around, the sound stops. We're a little weirded out, but continue along for a bit. I realize that the woods are quiet as fuck ever since we heard the running. Mention it to John. Relax man, it's almost winter. Most things are probably just hiding away in their burrows. Decide I'm just being a pussy. Ignore the silence. We stop for lunch near a stream, and John collects a bit of water from it. Sniffs at it to make sure it's semi-clean. Recoils. What the fuck? Anon. Smell this water. Worry that he's gonna splash me in the face, I take it and smell it. Oh god hiss awful. Gif. Smells like rotten meat and piss. We follow the stream upriver to see if a dead dower or bear fell in and is rotting away in it. After a few minutes of walking, we come to a cave that the stream is flowing out of. John walks in right away. Hey, John. Wait a minute, we should... Oh, come on, Anon. I've got a flashlight and I'm not gonna fall in, so let's just check it out. Okay, I guess. Grab my own flashlight and my SKS. Following John into the cave, we come to a huge ass cliff where the water falls down. Not really a waterfall, but WE. It's smooth as hell, made of this really shiny black rock. Alright John, looks like we can't go any farther, let's go back. Okay, Anon. Just let me look over here, I thought I saw aha. Look at this, man. A staircase cut into the side of the cliff, barely visible unless you look straight at it. John immediately starts climbing up. I follow him, but I'm just about shitting my pants. We're about halfway up when suddenly we hear this voice. Help me. Help me. Help me. Help me. Just repeating the same thing over and over, in the exact same tone of voice, exact same inflection. It sounded like a broken record. The voice was creepy as fuck, it sounded like a human voice coming through a fucked up speaker. Crackly at the edges and sort of deeper than it should be, obviously feminine. It's coming from the top of the cliff. John shouts up to it. Don't worry, we're coming for you. Just hold on. John? Are you just gonna walk away from somebody who might be stranded or hurt? No, but I don't think that. Then let's fucking go. He double times it up the stairs, rifle slung over his shoulder. Help me. Help me. Help me. Help me. Voice gradually getting louder and more distorted. He's going a lot faster than I am. That's what saves me. He gets to the top of the stairs. Shines flashlight toward the sound. Man, are you? Suddenly stops talking. I'm just a flight below the top, I can hear him walking. Sounds really jerky, but steady. Like a metronome or something. Steps suddenly stop. At the exact same time, the voice stops yelling for help. I just barely hear John whisper. Of course, whatever you need. Crunching noise, sound of dripping liquid. Help me. Help me. Help me. Help me. It's a different voice, and it takes me a second to recognize it. It's John's voice. Oh shit niggas.mp3 fucking sprint out of there. It's a miracle I didn't break my neck on those fucking steps. Managed to contact a friend who is going to pick us up in 2 days. Tell him something got John freaking out. He calls the cops/forest department. Tells me I have to meet them near a ranger station, at a small town. I manage to get out of the woods, meet up with cops. I claim I buried him. Lots of questioning, realize they think I might have murdered him, finally break down and tell this old grizzled ranger dude what really happened when we're alone. He just nods. There's some strange things what happen up in those mountains. Might be I'll head up there soon and take care of it. What the fuck? Is this guy serious? He smiles at me, and nods toward the wall of his office at the ranger station. A bunch of mounted skulls. They look like fucked up deer/moose/goat heads. Curvy horns, long jawbones, huge ass eye sockets. Now, I'm off to go kill that bear of yours. I'll make sure them city boys know that you didn't do nothing. I'm sorry about that friend of yours. Good hunting. Thank you kindly. I I still can't get over it, especially since about 2 weeks after that, the paper printed a story about an individual who wished to remain nameless that had taken down a rabid grizzly not too far off the Appalachian Trail. I have a story. A few, actually. I didn't really think much of these, until recently. When I was about 12, I lived in Georgia. I lived on the coast, near Savannah, on one of the islands out there. The island had its own grocery store, a few drive-ins, 2 gas stations, and some odds and ends stores. 5-ish miles away, was an island with a Walmart, and we could go to a third island or Savannah for anything else. Most of the island though, was marshland and woods, in addition to housing developments. Most of the housing developments were newer, around 20 years, but the neighborhood I lived in was older and thus, poorer than the others. I had a small group of friends, and my friends and I used to go exploring the woods and marshes. It's worth noting that I'm not from the South, and that I've been homeschooled most of my life due to constant moving, parents' jobs. This made me sort of an outsider, with my good old boys, and girls, friends, and although I remember everything about them and knew a ton about them, I really doubt any of them remember me at all, and none of them cared enough to learn much about me. I was that guy, and an outsider with the group. This is important to remember, when it comes to my stories. The first story took place towards the end of summer. This is technically the second story, order-wise, but it's probably best told first. I caught a head cold and spent 3 days sleeping non-stop in my room and only told my best friend, Hank, this over the phone. The weather had cooled down a lot, but it was still warm even at night, so we had taken to camping a lot in the woods near our houses, and sometimes further from home, because it was perfect weather for that. While I was sick, my friends went camping without me. What happens now is a retelling of what H, and another friend, his cousin, Andy, told me after I got better and left my house. Hank, Andy, Hank's girlfriend Michelle, and 3 of their mutual friends had been hanging out all day, and decided last minute to camp in the woods near Hank's house. So, they pitched a few tents right inside the woods, nearish to a pond that was between his house and the woods, and got to goofing around. Shortly after dark, they heard loud splashing in the pond, like someone was swimming late at night, but didn't bother to go and check it out as it wasn't out of the question that someone would be swimming that late out there. A few minutes later though, I apparently showed up at the campsite, soaking wet and acting kind of off. Apparently I didn't say anything, I just came up, sat down near the fire, and started watching people really awkwardly. Hank ends up asking me if I'm feeling alright, and I told him I was fine. I just felt lonely and decided to join them, and his mother told me where he was. Now, only he knew I had been sick, and he didn't apparently want to bring it up because Andy was a major germaphobe, so he just sort of shrugged it off and they went on with their evening to the best of their abilities, while I sat there, not talking, just watching them. After a while, I dried off, and both Hank, Andy, and everyone else there told me I started stinking, and I got the creative nickname of Stinky because of this, like a dead animal. Michelle started gagging from it apparently, and everyone jokingly told me to go take a shower. So, I got up, walked out of the woods in front of them, and Hank, Michelle and Andy followed me, thinking they'd hurt my feelings, only to see me calmly walk into the pond until I was up to my waist, dive in the rest of the way, come back up a bit later, and walk back out, all without saying